Hi, I'm Drew.
And I'm Sam.
And welcome to Drewling Samantics.
There we are. Mate.
Do you know what? It feels like absolutely forever since I last saw you. I mean, it has literally been, well, it's a couple of hours, isn't it? Because we got together this morning. I mean, and we're talking in podcast world here because actually this isn't the day the podcast comes out because that's after we've edited and blah. I'm talking rubbish. We're clearly doing an episode. Hooray!
Bring us back down to earth, Sam, please.
Yeah, I don't know. I had sort of a minor moment there, I think. But
just a tiny moment.
Actually,
yes, what?
I do have a question for you, mate.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Go, hit me.
Can you name all the things or the majority of the things that we love at Drewling Samantics? Things that we're really big on at Drewling Samantics?
Okay, well, first and foremost, anyone who's listening and anyone who's watching us, we love our subscribers and our fans, of course.
Yeah.
We love a good guest, and we've had some brilliant ones on all our episodes. We love a segue. We do love a segue. We do love a bit of banter.
Yeah.
A beer, and in my case, a good strong cup of coffee.
Yeah.
What else do we like?
You're missing a big one, mate. You're missing a big one. We love. Get ready.
Go.
We love a milestone.
Ah.
And you know why I'm saying that, don't you?
I think I might know where you're going with this. Come on, Sam, tell everyone.
Today, and genuinely boggles the mind that I'm able to say this, and this is absolutely true. Today, this recording, this one we're doing right now, is our 200th episode. 200 of the bastarding things, mate.
It's extraordinary, isn't it? I mean, we've said this on a couple of other milestones, but I mean, we get to 200, it's kind of like, did we ever think we would do more than 20? I don't know about 200.
Like, 2 was beyond my sort of...
well, that was, yeah. I mean, it is extraordinary, and it's. I mean, I say this, and I'm, with all. It's been an absolute pleasure to do these with you, mate, and with all the guests we've had on. It's been absolutely brilliant. I mean, I was thinking about it, thinking, we often say to ourselves, "Oh, do you remember that? Do you remember that?" You think, "What episode was that?" And you think, how can I forget? Well, after 200, it's not surprising me in case you forget.
And actually, I find a lot of the time, it's not going, which episode was that? It's going, which season was that? Like,
which year?
Yeah. Madness. But nonetheless, it's not a celebratory beer, I'm afraid. But cheers to you, mate, and cheers to everyone else. If you've been with us from 200, from number one, I mean, for all 200... thank you so much. And we must be doing something right if there is anyone like that. And if you're just joining us now, there's 199 to go back and find. So
there you go. It's a big archive.
But yes. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers, everyone. Cheers, Sam.
But yeah. Anyway, that aside, I'd say how are you, but I know how you are because I don't.
Yeah,
I do. And but it's good to see you nonetheless, mate.
And you always.
And I sort of know, I think, what we're going to be talking about today because we've been talking about it in the future when we're working together.
Yes.
It's coming out before then, but because there's a big news story in our world at the moment, and we're not behind the times with it because it did happen sort of a week or so ago, wasn't it? Or perhaps
I mean, but we're alluding to, or we're talking about the court case brought by Equity against Spotlight and the various ramifications. I mean, it started way back in 2024, so it's been quite a long time in coming to court and decisions being made, and a ruling was made, a week or so ago. And I mean, we're not actually dragging our heels because, I mean, the ruling, well, we might as well say the ruling went against Equity, and Equity are now considering the implications of that and an appeal. And an
as
appeal
far as I know, I think I did look. I think they have now filed an appeal. I think they
have they now filed an appeal?
Made the decision to file an
To
appeal.
appeal, yeah.
Happening. But just to dial back slightly, for those who perhaps haven't heard anything about this, or perhaps people that aren't part of the industry, we should do a little bit of explanation. So, first of all, Equity is the actors' union. I think, and you'll know a lot more about this than I do because I'm relatively new to the industry, whereas you were in it before it existed. But Equity is the actors' union. In the past, you had to be a member of Equity to be able to perform professionally. Is that right? Like
Equity used to be a closed shop. So when I joined, I can only talk about my experience, but when I joined Equity, there were most jobs. I mean, and obviously you could work without being a member of the union, but most jobs at that time, film-wise, television-wise, most of the majority of theatre jobs, certainly West End, and if I'm wrong, I'm sure people will correct me, but at my point of entry, you had to be a member of Equity, or you were not favoured by, but many jobs would go, if you were a member of Equity, then you would probably get an audition beyond, if someone wasn't a member of Equity, it would be more difficult to get an audition. That being said, there were companies and productions that had an allocation of Equity cards to give away. So if they had a company of 25 people, 23 of those would have to be Equity members. There would be then two Equity cards, to Equity memberships that they go. Two people would audition or see people. They would then be offered the job, and then they would be offered their card if they weren't already members. You then had to do 30 weeks of Equity ratified contracts, Equity work. And after 30 weeks, you were given a provisional card, a red card, and then it became a full Equity membership after those 30 weeks. And I cannot tell you how relieved I was and how absolutely it was a huge thing. It's like passing your driving test. When my Equity provisional card came through the letterbox, I opened it up and there was the red plastic folder with an Equity card in it, and a little card on the other side telling you all about Equity insurance, etc., etc. There it was. I could work, but there were still jobs you couldn't do until you were a full member.
Right. Okay.
So
that's where the phrasing that people will have heard of got your Equity card, because that essentially was a membership card that proved you were. And as you say, a lot of companies required that you had that to be able to work.
Yeah, it was a closed shop.
Public liability insurance and things like that were sort of included in there. Yeah. It is now not a requirement. But as you say, back then, the relief and the pride of being at that stage.
It meant you could work. It meant you could apply for work, because there were loads of jobs you just couldn't do because you had to be an Equity member.
And it's interesting because Spotlight, who are the other side of this argument, I'm not going to quantify what they are. I'm going to explain what I use Spotlight for, because this is going to come into the debate shortly, because this is basically what the court case is about. But Spotlight is a website, and once upon a time was a book. Was it leatherbound or like a printed hard?
It was a physical directory of actors. Yeah,
it's a directory of actors, and on the website, it is possible for casting directors or producers or people who are creating a production, be that theatre, film, advert, modelling, whatever, to list job opportunities or parts, castings, characters within that specific production that they are looking to find people to fill. That's how I'm going to phrase it for now. And that is exactly what I use Spotlight for. I go onto Spotlight, I can look through the listings to find something that I would be suitable for, and I can then apply for it, or my agent can apply for me for that job. Now, the reason I brought it up then is because we talked about you and the getting your Equity card and being like, oh my God, I'm able to work now. Spotlight, on a similar vein, you have to have professional credits professional credits, is it? I think.
I think it's 3 or 4. Yeah,
accredited drama training, but only at certain places. It's a very limited. You can't. I don't know if they've changed recently, but historically you couldn't just do a degree in drama at any university or college. It was specific accredited performance training. If you could prove that, or if you had those credits, that training, you could then become a Spotlight member, but only if you had those things. Obviously, you've been a Spotlight member for a long time, so have I. So the criteria may have been slightly different for us and for what it is now, but essentially you have to have these things to be able to join. And it again, it's quite an achievement to reach that and to be approved by Spotlight. Like, that is a big thing.
It's interesting because they
player, I would
say. And alongside, I mean, I came out of drama school. I came out of an accredited drama school, and I went straight into equity Spotlights as a student member. So there was a student directory, a graduate directory, and then that got upgraded. And then when you reached a certain point, you'd been in the directory, the student directory, for a couple of years or however long. You then went into the main directory, and then you paid.
As a student, you didn't have to pay.
I can't remember, but I don't think I did. But that I can't remember, so I'm not going to say one way or the other.
Okay, and can I ask?
Certainly,
did you have to pay for your first equity membership?
No. I mean, yes, yeah. As soon as you became a member of equity, you start paying equity fees.
Right. Okay, but the sort of, not trial is the wrong word, but the one you talked about where you then had to do certain amounts, was that paid, or was
I can't remember because it's a long bloody time ago. But I got my provisional membership, and then I certainly started paying. I think there was a membership fee because you were a member. You were in all intents and purposes, you were protected under equity by then. You were a member. What you didn't have what I still couldn't do until I was a full membership were certain jobs. Still weren't open. You couldn't do. I don't think you could do West End or whatever. But again,
it's almost like membership levels, essentially.
Yes, there was.
Paid
yeah. It's like having your driving lessons.
The reason I brought that up is because it is important to know that both equity and Spotlight are paid. Now, as you said, when you first joined Spotlight, there was sort of free element while you were a student or while you were in training. But as soon as you were working professionally, either equity or Spotlight are both paid subscriptions. And I think it's fair to say, not cheap paid subscriptions.
No,
they are not cheap services.
No, I mean, I think it depends on how one uses equity. I'm not. I don't go to the meetings. I vote on everything. I get the minutes of my local branch meetings and things like that. I don't go because I usually don't have time. But if there was something to which I feel strongly about, like the equity Spotlight thing, if there were meetings and discussions about it, whatever, then I would try and attend or at least vote on things. So I'm an active member of equity as much as I possibly can be. And I'm an active member of Spotlight as much as I can be. Yeah. But like you, it is a paid service that I use. And it has to be said as well, as long as, you have to have those certain number of credits to become a member of Spotlight now. And that causes all sorts of ructions. I mean, the social media freaking hate it. And I always, and I had no problem with equity being a closed shop, and closed shops were ended, many, many years ago. And people going, it's why can't I become a member of Spotlight? Personally speaking, I think it is a way of it is a filter. Whether a filter is right or wrong, I kind of think it's a good thing that not everything is open, because everything gets diluted. And I think it's a good thing. It keeps it strong. It also keeps it to a point where they are just about handling it. They're handling the number of people and the membership. Were it not online, it would fall apart like a house of cards.
Yeah, and I completely agree. I think it is important that certain things are only open to certain people, and we'll have all sorts of complaints and stuff about
that. Oh, God, there'll be letters now, as they say. I mean,
It keeps the industry professional.
Yes,
there is nothing wrong with someone being a hobbyist and doing something at an amateur level for their own pleasure, and we are not commenting on the quality of these things. We've said before, I've seen amateur productions that have shit all over professional ones, like far beyond like the quality. But when it comes to looking for professional work, I think from both sides, I don't want to be competing against 10 times as many people because it's that easy to just throw your hat in the ring. And the people doing the casting, and you've done a lot of casting and producing shows, they don't want people applying that can talk any sort of bullshit on a CV. Yeah. And then when they turn up on the day, you give them the time and they turn up on the set and you're like, but none of what you said is true. Like, but with Spotlight, using Spotlight as the example, because that's our topic today, you have to have some professional credits on there or have some training. So someone looking to cast through Spotlight and finding your profile on there knows that you have had to prove those things to Spotlight to be there. So as a bare minimum, you have either that training or that experience. There's no sort of, I'm sure people do get through the net somehow, but there is
of course, there's loads of ways of, the people are working around it all the time. But it also needs to be said as well that, alongside that, people have to prove, the actors, that to become a member of Spotlight, you're not, casting directors, agents, they don't get it free.
No.
If they don't, well, they do. But if they don't belong to certain guilds, and they don't have certain qualifications, they meet certain standards, they have to pay.
Yeah.
And it should be said as well that most agents, 99.9% of agents, if you haven't got a Spotlight membership, they won't look at you. No. Because Spotlight is, and it does do a good job, I'm not going to knock it, it does do a good job of putting actors and production companies and the like in together. It's probably the strongest medium. There are others. Mandy exists. Mandy used to be Casting Call Pro.
Yep.
My personal opinion, when it was Casting Call Pro, it was good. Now it's Mandy, it's appalling. I still use it, but it's diluted. It's a clumsy service. It gets a lot of work on there. Probably some of the stuff that gets on Spotlight. But it's a clumsy service to use. It's not easy. It makes all sort of little rules and regulations and stuff. It's expensive as well. And it's a big American company. They bought all those things up. They've amalgamated them, and what often happens is you mix 5 colours of plasticine together, you get a shit colour, and that's kind of what has happened. Nice, kind of what has happened with Mandy. They've mixed all these well-coloured, well-working, and they've ended up with a little shit colour. Yeah. But that's my personal opinion.
To go on from that, as you say, Mandy exists. You've got things like Star Now, Backstage, casting.uk
or something.
You can do casting through IMDb. It's much bigger in the States than it is over here, but it does exist. V-Show cards, we love V-Show cards.
V-Show cards, brilliant.
Part created by the brilliant Mr. Darren Tassel, our first ever guest. 200 episodes in, we're going back a long way. Brilliant guy. So that's another one we recommend, but that has links to things like Spotlight, so you can connect those up. So it's a slightly different service. But lots and lots of options exist, huge amounts of options. But I'm going to throw in a stat now that may sort of power my side of this, the view of this court case and this disagreement and what this is all about. And this is, I haven't been able to fact check because it's impossible to fact check, but I did find this mentioned in a couple of places. In 2023, Spotlight as a directory was used to cast 99% of UK productions.
I've got that as well. Yeah.
So well, if you found it as well, the chances are we're not.
Yeah. Spotlight claims to have around 90,000 members as well.
Yeah.
90,000 people use Spotlight.
Yeah. So big numbers. And in 2023, supposedly 99% of all productions, so for theatre, film, TV, commercial, the actors or the people used or the talent used in those productions were found through Spotlight, or they found those jobs through Spotlight. An important thing to bear in mind when we go on to the next bit. So, but you know far more about this than me, because I know you've done a lot of studying of the court case itself and things that have been said. So yeah, please do carry on. But I wanted to get that in there now, just to, because you said earlier they are the big player, or they sort of hold the monopoly or whatever. They're much bigger than these other ones. I mean, in 2023, the other ones might have existed, but by the sound of it, didn't do anything in comparison.
Yeah. Now, I mean, there's why. I mean, no, the one I went back and said, what is Equity's campaign about? And not just casting directories like Spotlight. It has named Spotlight because Spotlight is the biggest one.
It's the big player.
And basically, and I quote, Equity believes that casting directories like Spotlight are covered by the Employment Agencies Act 1973 and the Conduct of Employment Agencies Regulations 2003. This act and the regulations forbid businesses whose purpose is to help people find work from charging the work seeker a fee up front. That's basically saying, however, this is where Equity jumped on board. The regulations exempt certain professions from this rule in respect of the inclusion of information about the work seeker in a publication. In other words, if it's a publication, i.e. Spotlight, that company is exempt from those regulations. Most professions which are exempted are the performing arts and entertainment industries, and acting is included. So in other words, most of the people that are exempt from that rule, most of the professions, are acting. So Equity have gone, hang on a minute, we represent actors, performers, blah. Why are we the only body, and you've quoted 99% of all work, pretty much Spotlight have got it stitched up.
Yeah.
And they are charging upfront fees. Now, the argument was then that, and the argument has been, that has gone against Equity, is that Spotlight is not an employment agency. It is not, they are not going, oh, we'll put that person in that job there. And I've thought about this, and in essence, they probably aren't. Because what Spotlight are going, here's the job, here's the people, we have got nothing to do with it. The people then, they're going, well, all agencies, as we said, 99.9% of agencies work via Spotlight in some respect. They then go, okay, this job is being cast. I've got Andrew Fettis, an actor who fits the advert that has been put up by Spotlight. Then they have to do, then via my agent and via meetings and via casting directors, that is cast. So if you look at it in that respect, you're going, okay, that happens. Now, what do we do about that? Because Spotlight would say they're a marketing tool, a PR tool, and that's how the judgment has gone. So I don't know. Are they? I don't know. The upfront fee is because I know I've gone in directories before. Years ago, there was a whole hoo-ha about, I went for an interview for someone and they said, oh yeah, give me your photographs, give me this. I'm putting out this actors directory. It's going to hit these number of desks, blah, 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 blah. It's going to hit these number of people. But I'm going to charge you 120 quid for putting the directory together.
Yeah.
And I sat there and thought, I don't have 120 quid. Do I invest 120 quid? I'm already a member of Spotlight.
Yeah.
So do I invest another 120 quid in a directory that's probably not going to get the coverage? And then I backed down. I went, no, I won't. But other people did. And there were several of these directories kicking about at the time, doing pretty much. And they were, and Equity went, don't pay upfront fees. You don't have to pay upfront fees. And these companies were taken to court. People's money was recovered. Yeah. So in that essence, whether they were acting as an employment agency or not, they Equity took them to court and they beat them, and certain people took out county court, small claims court judgments, got their money back. So those directories, and I'm talking 20 odd years ago, they were proved to be illegal and it was against the rules. So I think a little bell has rung somewhere, and they've gone, actually,
we've been here before. Why?
We've been here before, but we haven't taken on the
little ones. Why should we not take on the big player who is doing essentially the same thing? Unofficially.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because, and I can't say categorically on certain things. I've been in this industry a fair while now, not as long as you and bloody watching Noah's Ark arrive and all that sort of bollocks, but I've been doing this quite a while, so I've been out of the other side of employment for quite a while. But as far as I'm aware, and I'm sure people will correct me now, if you are going on something like, I think, Indeed or Total Jobs or things like that, I think you can have paid memberships, but I think you get certain benefits from those. But on a simple basis, I don't think you have to pay to be able to apply for jobs, which is what the real sort of layman's terms argument is here. That why should an actor have to pay to have an opportunity to try and get some work to just then be paid? Like it seems like a sort of an extended kind of situation. And I'm sure I read somewhere where part of that ruling, part of what you were talking about earlier, it says charges for that can only exist to the tune of keeping the website or the publication existing. So
yes,
that's what they can justifiably charge. They have to be able to prove, look, it's cost us this much to run the website, it costs us this much to pay our staff, blah blah blah. These are all the costs, which I think Spotlight have tried to argue before, but I don't know how that sort of gone. But so the thing is that as you mentioned, as we said, Spotlight won this argument, or Equity lost this argument, or however you want to look at it. And the judge, and I've got like a little quote, and I'm sure you've got far more, but the reason they gave, and you've sort of half mentioned this, the reason that the judge gave for ruling that Spotlight was not doing anything wrong, or that Equity weren't correct in their accusations or their claims, is she said, Spotlight does not provide services for the purpose of finding persons employment with employers or of supplying employers with persons for employment by them. So the way I've interpreted that is the judge or the people involved in making these sort of discussions have said that the one thing that has been targeted is that middleman element, the putting of the two together. But without Spotlight, you don't have the two sets of people anyway. Like that, if they didn't exist, the jobs wouldn't be listed and the actors wouldn't be able to access it. Yes, you, by paying for Spotlight, you get to market yourself, but without them, that connection's not there. Yes, you have to make the move and say, I want to go for that one. You have to choose something, but I think it's quite ambiguous to say it does not provide that service.
What it doesn't do, though, it provides a gateway. What it doesn't do, and I think this is the ground on which the judge is ruling. Now, Spotlight put the job there and they put the actors there. What they don't do is Spotlight don't go, brilliant productions are producing Hamlet and they're looking for a Hamlet. Sam Dunning is over here, would make a brilliant Hamlet. Let's put them together. They don't do that.
No. That's what they provide. Bit is not there.
Yeah. Now, my agent does that, and they are an employment agency, and they work under those regulations. But my agent doesn't take an upfront fee. That would be illegal.
Yes.
My agent takes a commission for doing the job that Spotlight doesn't do, and that I think is where the argument is.
Where Spotlight comes in.
Where Spotlight, it's a very, very, very fine line. Yes, the job wouldn't exist. I might not have had that job, or you might not be playing Hamlet for Bright Productions, had that advert not been in Spotlight, and had you not seen it, had you not approached it, via yourself or via an agent or whatever. But Spotlight haven't done that job, and I think that's
their
what
argument.
she's ruling on. She went on further because I've got the same quote, and she said she likened Spotlight. This is not a quote. This is a quote from Equity's report on it. So I quote Equity when they say she likened Spotlight to a dating service where employment was like a wedding resulting from its services, a happy accident indirectly connected to its purpose, or the purpose of Spotlight. So in other words, there's the handsome man, the handsome woman, there's the dating service, they do the advert, they fancy each other, they get married, got nothing to do with us. But were it not there, like Spotlight, they probably wouldn't, they might not have met.
No, so there's a lot of grey areas in this, aren't there? And
there is.
I mean, the thing that you could call it sort of petty or whatever, there was a statement made by Equity where they said, the judgment states that Spotlight is a marketing tool to promote the identity and skill set of the performer, which is absolutely true. And they said, but if this is true, then the traditional assertion and claim that Spotlight are the home of casting does somewhat then end in doubt. So they're almost, I can sort of see it's almost like a kick in the teeth to go, we're not a casting service, we're the home of casting. Like, do you know what I mean? And I think the judges, I don't think she'd deliberately done it, but to say that landing a job is a happy accident could come across quite insulting to those of us that have worked fucking hard to land stuff. I can see what she's trying to do in that comparison. I disagree, and equally, there are many dating services out there, I'm sure, that you don't have to pay to belong to. You can buy benefits, and you can do this, and you can get extra pictures and all that sort of stuff. But essentially, I think the problem is the grey areas. Like I am very much on the side of, I don't believe I should have to pay, what is it now, £230 something a year to be able to just look and see stuff. Like that doesn't get me any further. It basically gives me an awareness that job exists. That is the only thing that it does. In essence, I wouldn't know about that job otherwise. But from that point onwards, all the work is mine, my agents, historically what I've done, what I've put into it, my training, my previous work, the amount I pay for headshots to show people what I look like in an up-to-date way, the amount I pay for show reels to show them this is examples of me doing it. It seems like a little bit of a kick in the teeth that a company are making money from me before I've even achieved anything. That was the other argument from Equity is it exploiting its monopoly in the industry? Is it has it become so big? And if it's claiming 99%, it does have a monopoly, and is it exploiting the monopoly by charging that amount of money? That's probably the next thing that's going to roll around, because the other thing is Equity said the disappointing ruling could have worrying implications for working people across the UK who may now be left unprotected from upfront charges by similar platforms elsewhere in the growing gig economy. So it doesn't only that's why the Equity waited for a little while before launching its appeal, because the incoming government ministers immediately contacted Equity and said, we need to talk to you about this. The TUC representative said, we need to talk about this because this does have wider implications. What I hope will happen is that it will force, because as Equity, as Spotlight members, we don't see all the work that's out there. No.
Some of that work only gets to go to agents who may not be paying for the services.
No.
So some of the stuff I see that my agent sees, I don't see. Some of the stuff I see, my agent doesn't see.
Yeah.
So I have to nudge. It's a little service by Spotlight called nudging them. You nudge your agency. Have you seen this? Could you put me up for it? So, it's like, oh, hang on a minute. We're all paying for this. There isn't 100% transparency here. That, there are in nowhere does it say in Spotlight, I haven't ever seen it, where it says you will not be allowed to see all of the jobs being cast on Spotlight. when that's written in the rules, so Spotlight have now got to go, well, you've actually been opened up a little bit and shown that you're being a little bit naughty. Hopefully what this ruling will do is it will give Spotlight members, like we're having now, they'll sit back and go, well, okay, I'd like to see a little bit more from Spotlight. You might have to do a little bit more. If the judge is saying it's okay, you're not charging too much for your services, I would say as a member, I think they are, because what they're doing is they're not opening it up fully. They're not being completely transparent with all the job. Once they do that, then I would go, okay, I think you're operating pretty fairly. Yeah. When it comes down to it, I can't pick holes in Spotlight. It pretty much works. It has to work. It casts 99%. And we have to be members. We don't have to be members of Equity.
No.
I happen to be a member of Equity because I believe in it.
Yeah.
I wish it was as strong as the MU. It's not. No. But
I think what my final sort of thing on this is that the fact that Spotlight have won, or that at this stage it's gone in their favour, should be a positive thing for them, because what they stand for and what they've said has been upheld. But they should be like, regardless of that, our members clearly aren't happy because they've gone to Equity, so we need to change something, or we at least need to open up conversation. And that is something that obviously we will keep looking at in the future, and we'll update in future episodes. So
I just as my little tail off is, I would be very interested to know how many members of Spotlight are members of Equity. That would be or how many members of Equity are members of Spotlight, vice versa. Do you know what I mean? Those would be very interesting little figures to look at, and then go, because like you're saying, is Spotlight speaking for all Equity members? Is Equity speaking for the majority of Spotlight? I mean, maybe the majority of Spotlight members are sitting there going, look, shut up. You are just a union. We don't have to belong to you. We have to belong to Spotlight. Spotlight's got the power here. And I think, for me, that's where it lies, because Equity, you have to become a member of Spotlight. You don't have to be a member of Equity.
No.
And that's the dichotomy.
Exactly that. But an interesting one today, mate. A really interesting one. Yeah. So 3 things to take away. An interesting debate and discussion about a very, very current issue and thing that's going on, which we will keep up with when there are further developments.
Yeah.
200 episodes. 200 of the bloody things. And I think we've nailed the celebration of that in style. And to top it all off, next week we've got another bloody brilliant guest.
Fantastic, mate. Hey?
What more could you possibly want?
From strength to strength, buddy.
Indeed. Yeah. So cheers to you, Drew. Cheers to
and you, Sam.
Everyone at home for listening or watching. Please do come back next week, where we'll have another lovely, lovely, professional, talented person joining us to tell us all about their story. And yeah, just have a cracking week, everyone. We'll see you next time. Cheers.
Take care, everyone. Bye.
Thanks again for watching this episode of Drewling Samantics.
Please make sure you subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you never miss a new video.
Don't forget, we're also available as audio only. Just search Drewling Samantics in any good podcast app. And please support us on social media. All our links and handles are on screen now.
We love welcoming new followers and subscribers, so why not share with your family and friends so they can join in too? Thanks very much. See you next time.